Hi guys, please like, share and subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you're made aware of our future videos and also our live streams. Also comment, and if you want to follow us on social media, all our links are all in the description below. Right, so this video, as you know, we do a bit of everything. So this one today is going to be about a TV series called Scorpion. Now obviously this ended, I think it was a couple of years ago, but I've only just got round to finishing it. Anyone who hasn't watched it, give a brief description of what it's about. But if you are planning on watching this, then you probably shouldn't. You shouldn't watch this video because the series, obviously I'm going to spoil a few things. So anyway, so the series started a few years back, only run for 4 seasons. I can see why. Basically, it's about a bunch of geniuses that go around the world fixing problems that no one else can solve. And they're all different types of geniuses, behavioralists, engineers, mathematicians, etc. And obviously the main thing they struggle with is communicating with normal people. So as a result, you end up with a character called Paige that comes into it because she's good at reading the geniuses and translating it to normal people and vice versa. Because obviously there can be some friction, especially with the character Walter, because he's intelligent, he's also very rude at times. So that's your basic outlay of the series. So originally when watching this, I think I got halfway through the second series and I kind of checked out. There was other things on, and the problem with this series is there's a method to every episode and it never seems to change. Basically the outline of every episode, no matter what the situation is that they go in to fix a problem, they end up making it worse, but then they fix it in the end. And it's like that every episode. So you can imagine when you're getting through the second series and you're seeing the same thing over and over, although it's a different situation, it's the same methodology, you kind of get to a point where it's like, yeah, I've seen this before. So like I say, I checked out. I've recently gone back to it because they put it on Netflix. One of the reasons I didn't continue to watch it was because I was watching it an episode each week when it was on the TV. So obviously if you started missing a few, you know, it's like, right, well now I don't know where the story's going, so you don't go back to it. So yeah, I've gone through and I've watched it all the way to the end. So there's a lot of problems with this series, and obviously that's why it got canned. Now, there's some very weird decisions that went on in this. Not that I'm surprised. It's got Alex Kurtzman involved, and as you know, he does all the new Star Trek, and well, there's problems with that as well. I really don't think this guy knows how to do a story, but anyway, that's besides the point. I'm not sure when they did the 4th series whether they knew they were going to get canned. If they did, then it's very interesting that they did the series the way they did. So if you have watched this series, you'll know that throughout for at least 3 series, there's been something between Walter and Paige, and it's never come to a head. But obviously, if you've watched enough American, especially American TV series, you know that eventually it will work out, they'll get together. And it does happen. What I found interesting was that only, half a series later, they're now at a point where they're splitting up. And that just didn't make a lot of sense to me. Just to give you a bit of information on that, basically what happens is there's an episode where Walter falls down a set of stairs and he ends up in a critical condition. And a new character called Flo, that's a chemist that works next door to their garage, finds him. Now, up until this point, there'd been a bit of animosity between the two. And he has this sort of dream while he's in his, I suppose, comatose state. And in this dream, or whatever you want to call it, he kisses her. And throughout the rest of the series, he's acting very strange around her. He's acting strange with Paige. She's picked up on it. And in the very last episode, they go to Africa to solve a problem. And there's a part where Walter ends up sort of getting covered in sand on top of a landmine. And she's thinking he's dying. They all think he's dying. And she says, I know there's something bothering you. You can tell me it's fine. Well, at the end of the episode, it turns out that obviously there is something going on. And Paige figures it out. In a previous episode, we saw Walter lie to Paige saying that he couldn't do something. And then he calls someone, and it's about going somewhere to some sort of lecture or whatever. And then you see him getting in the car and it's Flo. So obviously we know there's something going on there. Whether it's physical or at the moment, whether it's just in their heads, we don't know. So in this episode, Paige goes to get him a book and she finds the 2 tickets. Now at this point, Walter had told her that he'd gone to the lecture without her and that he'd, kind of told a lie, and she took it that he'd done it to spare her being bored watching this lecture. What she didn't realise, obviously, was that Flo went with him. She now knows this in the last episode. She finds this book and it's got 2 tickets in it and she wants answers. Who did you go with? So another thing I probably should point out in this episode is that throughout the series since Flo's turned up, one of the other characters has started getting feelings for Flo, and that's Sylvester. Now, earlier on in the last series, I think it was, he was married to Walter's sister and she died. So it's a big thing for him that he's now moving on. And he's been trying to ask Flo out and it's not worked out. But eventually he starts getting the confidence to ask her. When all this situation starts, he's got a bouquet of flowers, he's going to ask her out. And this situation starts and it comes out that it's Flo. And it's just after that Flo actually walks in. And it becomes apparent that Flo has feelings for Walter. She had done for a while. And Paige basically loses it and says she quits. At this point, Sylvester says, how could you do this to me? You knew it was hard for me getting over your sister. To which Walter then says, don't use my sister as an excuse. And he shoves Walter and proceeds to get into a physical fight with him. And Cade gets in between them and breaks them up. At that point, Sylvester now quits. To which Toby, who's the behaviouralist, and Happy, who's the engineer, turn around and say, we told you this was going to happen. Because these two earlier in the episodes had realised something was going on and they'd figured it all out. So they warned him then that this is going to blow up in your face, and he didn't listen. So at this point in the episode, they turn around and they say to him, told you this was going to happen. To which he shouts at them, I'm fed up with you two know-it-alls, blah, blah, blah. To which they walk out as well. So we've now got 4 members of the team have walked out. And then it skips 6 months. And you see Walter in what looks like a pitch of some sort with a director or CEO, whatever he is. And they're saying about how they're more efficient now because they're more slimmed down, which means less cost, etc. They are the new Scorpion 2.0. And as the camera pans out, you've got Cade, you've got Walter, and you've got Flo. He then walks out, or they then walk out of that meeting after shaking hands and finishing their pitch. And they're greeted by Paige, Sylvester, Toby, and Happy. And find out that their name is Centipede, and there's a little joke about that. Sylvester says, yeah, we're the human centipede, and Paige is like, look, I told you to watch that movie, don't call us that. So there's a little joke, but then Walter says like, oh, well, good luck in trying to get out, sort of thing, basically making out like they've got it in the bag. And they said, well, basically it's made out that, well, we're going to compete anyway. And he then says something about another job. Well, good luck getting that job. And Paige says, oh, well, we don't need to. I mean, good, because you won't get it, sort of thing. And then she makes it clear that they've already got that contract. So obviously this is now a situation where the team are split and they're against each other. Well, what I found interesting here was this is how it ends. This is the last moments of Scorpion. I couldn't believe it when I was watching it. I thought, what a terrible ending. Like, I get that there might have been a situation where they didn't realise it was going to get canned. They wanted to leave the series on a cliffhanger. But you'd think that CBS would have allowed them to maybe do an hour special or whatever just to wrap the story up. Or is it just really bad writing? Well, when Alex Kurtzman's involved, it's a possibility it is that. I don't know what was going on here. Like, what was their plan? Like, was it that they knew that the end was coming, so they were trying to force CBS into giving them another series by leaving it on a really bad cliffhanger? Was it that they'd already filmed it by the time they found out and it was too late to change it? Or was it just really bad story writing? I don't know, but it's a terrible ending to the series. If you've watched all the series, you've seen the characters grow and progress. Maybe not so much Walter. He doesn't seem to really be going... He's improved a bit, but, he doesn't seem to really be evolving as much as the others. But the others have definitely took steps forwards. To then end it like this, it's like, well, I don't understand it. And I did see signs of this earlier in the full series. When they started introducing Flo and then this dream bit, I thought, what are they doing here? Like, what's going on here? We've been waiting 3 series for Walter to get with Paige, and you're now going to wreck that straight away? What's going on here? I do think it's probably a part of this is bad storytelling. It didn't make a lot of sense to me. I mean, you realise throughout this series that Walter has not only got feelings for Paige, but he's very attached to her son. And it upsets him when he upsets the kid. So it's like, well, why would he then do this and upset that kid? It just makes no sense. I mean, in fact, a couple of episodes before, he's planning on doing some work and he actually stops that because he can see the kid's upset and wants to spend time with him. So it's like, well, he realises he's now getting in tune with his emotions. He's now realising that, he's going to be like a dad to this kid, and that sometimes he has to give things up that he needs to do in order to do things for the kid. So he's seeing all of this stuff. For it then to end like it does in the last episode, like, just makes no sense to me. And I really don't think that's how he would have reacted. It doesn't seem right with his character up until this point. So there's a lot of things in this that just, when you watch it, it's like, this just doesn't seem right. It's like you're watching another series. Yeah, I really don't like the ending of that. Like I say, I mean, I initially lost interest. I got back into it, watched it, and to be honest with you, the method they use for each episode hasn't really changed. It's still the same in every episode. So, like I say, I'm not surprised it got canned. Much of the same. They'd lost a lot of audience over the series as it went on, probably because nothing really changed. But, you could... This is the other problem. You could pretty much miss a couple of episodes, drop in and know what's going on. I did realise that as I was watching this. It's like, well, I could have just jumped in while it was on TV. I wouldn't have really lost anything. But, so that's the other problem. It's just, I just don't get it. It didn't make sense to me to end it like that. And that's why I think that there's something there that we don't really necessarily know, you know, that it was axed or right at the last minute, or whether they, like I say, they was trying to negotiate another series, so they left it like that. I don't know, but it's definitely one of the worst endings I've ever seen to a series. And I mean, there are other series out there that have got terrible endings. I mean, I've never really watched Lost, but I know a lot of people did, and they said it had the worst ending ever. Game of Thrones is another one. So I think this one would be up there in terms of terrible endings. I didn't like it at all. What sort of a way is that to end a series? You know, a team that you've been watching all this time, that are evolving, that are becoming more human, but still very intellectual, to then split up. You know, I mean, these are people that have been friends for years, and all of a sudden they split. They don't want anything to do with each other. You know, I don't know. I just don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. You know, you watch these series, you watch them in peril, but you always know pretty much that at the end, everything's going to come right. You know, there's going to be a happy ending, and it'll all make sense. But there isn't one with this, and I'll be honest. Like, after watching that, I was like, mate, I really wasted my time watching these. Why watch the series if this is what it's coming to? Like, I don't know. I don't get it. It doesn't sit well with me. I'm glad in a lot of ways that this wasn't a series that really mattered to me, because if it did, I would have been really irritated by that. And I imagine there's probably a lot of fans out there that are. Anybody that really liked that series, they're not going to be happy with that ending. It's really bad. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Obviously, it's up to you guys what you do. You know, if you've watched it, then you'll know what I'm on about. If you haven't watched it, just be warned, it ends terribly. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's up to you how you go with this, but I'm sure you'd agree with me that this is probably the worst ending to a series ever. So, yeah, it's a shame. When you watch the first series, especially the first episode, you see that this series could go somewhere. It had some legs. It's just a shame that it got sort of run into the ground. And my other issue with how they ended it was that I get what a lot of people are saying, because a lot of people are saying this, that Walter didn't really evolve as much as the rest, and I'd agree with that. He doesn't. You know, Sylvester's scared of germs, yet he does things like grab rattlesnakes and things like that, so he's progressing. Toby's gone from a degenerate gambler to now married and wanting a child. Happy, who doesn't show any type of physical affection towards anyone, all of a sudden is married to Toby, and you know, she shows affection towards him. So, you know, you've seen this. So as it goes on, like I say, although every episode pretty much is set out the same, regardless of what the circumstance is, although it's almost set out the same, you do care about the characters. And that's the problem with this ending. You know, you care about these characters and you don't want to see it end this way. So, yeah, it's just not a good way to end it. Anyway, that's my opinion. Others might disagree, although I'd be surprised if they did. I would have thought most people would think this is the worst ending ever. So, anyway, I'm going to end this one now. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Like I said at the beginning, please like, share and subscribe and comment. Sharing is very important. Helps more people see our channel. So if you enjoyed this episode, share it. Other people will find us then. Hit the notification bell so that you're made aware when we put a new video or live stream up, because if you don't do that, it doesn't always tell you when we put videos or live streams on. If you hit it, it will send you an alert, either a notification to your phone or an email telling you that we've done this, or both. So that helps if you don't want to miss anything. We have got all our social media accounts linked in the description below, so if you want to follow us there, just click on them. We are on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. And until next time, take care, stay safe. Nerdy Geezer out.